Good morning, traders. Welcome to the weekly outlook. This is normally our daily webinar. It's out on YouTube every Monday. So please help share it. If you like what I do, there's someone else out there who needs to see this analysis. If you're watching it for the first time, what we do is called wave analysis. And it's based on a simple fact: nothing moves in a straight line, which means the chart will never move in a straight line. It's going to create wave patterns. Now, what we do as wave analysis traders, we try to recognize these patterns. These are patterns that repeats themselves over and over and over in any chart. It looks very random to you, but once you learn to recognize these patterns and see what they look like, you start to understand how the chart moves. Which means if patterns repeat themselves, we can take advantage of that, right? If we understand how they behave, then it's easier to say, okay, this is what I expect from this chart to do. And then you said, let's create a strategy for that. And we have a lot of strategies in our room, including each trader having their own strategy sometimes. That's based on, time frame, time you're trading, and a lot of other factors, including whatever you're trading, right? Whatever you choose to trade. So strategies can be different. The analysis is the same. So what I'm going to give you here today is basically our analysis. These are not trade calls. You really should not take a trade on just the analysis. You have to have a specific strategy to trade. And then you have to have good money management. And then you have to have trade management, right? Which is not something a lot of people, even gurus, talk about out there, because if you talk about it, you have to do it. And you have to show how it's done. And that is trade management. We are doing it in our room. This is something you're going to hear for the first time, probably here. And I've never heard of trade management until I started doing it. So how do you manage your trade once you're in it? What are the rules for managing? Not allowing your trade to always come back to your stop and take you out and go to your target. That's simple. That's the simplicity of it. That's not what traders do. Investors don't even do that. So you manage your portfolio, you manage your trade, you see where they're going to go, you decide which one you want to keep, which one you want to take off, and why. We do all of this based on wave analysis. So if you want to learn how to trade wave analysis, send me a message on Skype. Next year, we will be doing a live session, training session. Now, I don't do this often. I do it once or twice a year. I think this year we did only one, right? Next year, probably one or two. If you want people who sell you courses every 2 weeks, probably, you can go ahead and do that. I think it's a waste of time. Most of the time we focus is on our trading room, training the traders who are already in the group to trade. So I'll just type my Skype address. 457, sorry, that should be 457. Send me a message and I'll give you all the details. If you want to join us, we will probably be doing one next year. Make sure that if you want to join us, you at least have about a year experience in the market already. If you don't have a year experience, my advice to you is don't buy any course. It's going to be useless to you. Even if somebody tell you, hey, this is a beginner's course, it's useless to you if you have no idea what Forex is about, or what stock trading is about, or what trading in online is about. Probably go and all the stuff you need to know the first year, you can get it free on the internet. You can watch all my videos for free for 1 year. You'll probably learn something. And then if you really think this is what you want to do, then you join a group, any group, my group, any good group you choose, any method you want to use. I still think wave analysis is the best, but it's your choice. So that's it. Let's move on. Let's start. Dollar index. If you're following me for a while, and this is mostly for traders who are following me for a while, this is what we were looking at. We were looking at the dollar index, and we're still in this one. And like I said, if this correction here drops, reverse, make corrections, we're going to go break the top. If it makes correction, we continue to go down. We're still in this up move, and we still haven't decided whether that is the one that will go and break the top. We're very close to the top. You might say, well, we're almost halfway there. Why don't we call it as an uptrend as yet? On the 4 hour, it's an uptrend. And the daily, it's probably a trend. But if you look at the bigger daily structure, this sharp move is what is preventing us from saying this is a full daily uptrend. My experience has told me that you got to be careful of those sharp moves. They do come back. And I wouldn't be surprised at some point if this comes back here and then go. Right? You would be surprised. I wouldn't be. We expected this one back here. That is because we had this one here. And because we knew that this was not an impulsive move to the upside. So every time we see these sharp moves, we're anticipating that if they start to do this and go like this, and that doesn't mean they can't go. They can go for a while. They will give you that sudden drop and then go back up. Well, when this happens, everybody will find some reason in the news to say, hey, oh my God, look what happened. This is the news. And that's why the market suddenly dropped 2,000 points because of this news. No. The news is the moment they're going to use to drop the market. The news could be created at whatever moment they want to create it. You want to create news, you can create news. So sometimes those news are created specifically for those purposes, to drop the market or to move the market upwards, and then, do whatever they have to do because it's planned. Right? Those are planting. And can you see what they're planning? You might not know what they're planning, but you can see what they're doing in the charts. So we look at these patterns because whatever they're doing creates a pattern. Whatever the bigger markets are doing, the bigger movers of the market are doing, creates a pattern. Whatever the sum total of everything is doing creates a pattern. And when you see that pattern, you tend to read into it and say, well, if it repeats this more than 2 or 3 or 4 times, and you see it more often than that, we see it hundreds of times, the chances are the 101 time it will do exactly the same thing. And there's an 80% chance of that happening. So the probability is on your side, which means right now, if we consolidate to the top here, if this consolidates at the top here, we will continue to go up. If it comes down and anywhere we see flags, we'll continue to sell it. Wait for a bigger consolidation, and then drop back. Or maybe just drop it a few small consolidations. So let's go back to the top there in the 1 hour. There are more than that we would look for in the chart, except what I just showed you. What I showed you is the simplest form of how we look at the chart. So as of today, every flag we get, we will sell. So if this makes a flag, it's a sell setup. Now you'd have to be cautious. Remember, I said you got to be careful of sharp moves, and we do have a sharp move here if this is real. We'll have to check that on a few more charts to see if it's real, a few more providers to see if it's real. Sometimes you have wicks like those that are not real. But if it is real, then the chances are this could drop here, come back here, and then drop more. We're going to have a running flat type of pattern. Right? That is possible. Now, it's a sell setup. We will take the sell. Remember, there's potentially a big move to the downside. But nothing goes in a straight line. So once they make a correction and they drop, they'll make another correction, drop. They'll make a bigger correction, either drop, or in this case, make a correction like this and go up. We'll have to follow that. So we'll be looking for a sell setup if this stays here today. If we break out of this structure, we'll possibly get a buy setup. And I said possible because it could break out and come right back in. If it breaks out and make consolidation, we're looking for buy setups. So as of today, as of this moment right now, it's a sell setup. How would this change? Well, we'll have to wait and see if it changes at all. I'm looking for a sell right now. Silver, I'm looking for a buy in silver. So we had a buy here on Friday. Actually, the buy was lower, but this is where you would normally put it if you're trading on the 1 hour. So let's say you took that buy, you got it for positive in that buy, closing the trades. And this is where strategy kicks in. When you're in a trade, it's not going, we have enough strategies to prevent us from staying in the trades like this. By the way, that's something I just spoke of before we started this recording to Michael. So we broke the top, it tagged, but it's not going, you close the trade and we wait. What I think is happening is we're making a bigger running flat. That's my belief. It could also be that we're reversing. This is the end of this, and this is trying to go down totally. Right? Both of those options are the same. The pattern structurally would look exactly the same way. So your question would be, if you're a new trader to wave analysis, well, if they're looking exactly, how would you know which one it is? And I have the answer to that. It's pretty easy. If this is a reversal, wait for a flag or a correction and sell. If it is a running flat, it's going to break straight through the top. Now, if you understand that, then you should create strategies how to trade that. The question is, can you recognize it? We can recognize it. The question is, can you? If you can recognize it, great, you're doing well. If you can, then, see where to do. So I think we'll be getting a buy setup. I'll take this off. I think we'll be getting a buy setup, but like I said, if they consolidate here longer, we'll look for the sell. Gold, definitely a buy. And there's a reason for that. I'm not going to the details, but this is still the B wave. This would probably come down here, and then I'm expecting one more impulse up. Now, in very rare conditions, this is the flat, and they drop to the bottom. So on wave analysis, you don't see a big flat at the top of a structure like that before it drops. You normally get an impulse, then you get a small flag, an impulse, small, then you get a deeper correction. Now, these are very rare where they would make a small impulse, a bigger flat, and then drop. Remember what I was telling you if you were following me for a while, that this here is very, very slow move up. We looked at these as corrective structures. We don't really look at them as if they're making an impulse outside, because impulse does not go like that. What could change that is if you get a really sharp move to the top. And if they consolidate above this top, if they consolidate above there and break out, that might confirm total upside. Now, how would we look at this pattern if that happens? Well, we will either accept this is all the correction, or we look at this as a contracting flat. Either is possible. I don't think it's either of those. So I'll give you what I think of based on my experience. I believe that even if we do break this up one more time, we're going to come back here and then go. So we would look at a possible running flat forming here, which means, can this be a possible flat that would drop to the bottom? Now, that's a very slight possibility. It could happen, but it's rare, like I said. So if you're an experienced trader and you're wave analysis trader, you will say to yourself, well, what if we just decide to take the risk? What if we sell this flag just to come back to this low and then go back up? And we will buy above the top. Can we take this trade and get the hell out of that trade if it doesn't go? Because it's unlikely that it's going to go. There's a very small percentage chance that this one would drop here, make another one and continue to go for the bigger running flat. But that is possible, right? It's a small possibility, but it does exist. So if you have the skill level to do that, you can go for the sell. There is a sell setup here. If you don't have the skill level, allow it to break through the lows, confirm that it's actually going down, and then you will sell. So this is for skilled traders. This, you wait for this if you're an unskilled trader, which means you're not that good at it. The buy to the upside is an easy one, which means if they come here and go straight back up, that buy is an easy one for everybody, right? It's one more impulse up for now. Euro. Okay, so we saw this, the low, we wanted to break the low. You see this line is actually for to break the low and then look for the buy setup, because we had no intention of selling this. We saw this and we saw it from here. And because it was similar to this one, and we said we're not selling that so much because it's going to go back up. This could have been a buy. If you took that buy, you probably closed it somewhere in here, or you probably closed it here. Either way is good. Now it's looking like it's making a bigger flat. When it does that and it's not break, it broke out of the channel, but it's not going up impulsively, then your thought process is, can we be making a bigger flat here? You'll have to take this out. The low is here now, and you can take this out. This one is useless. Right? So that would either be a small loss or break even, depends on how you trade it, if you trade it. And now you're looking at this and say, well, what is it we have here? Because this could be a correction by itself, or we could come back here, make a bigger correction like this, and still go up. But the whole thing is looking very corrective, especially if it comes back here and then go, because this becomes a big flat for downside, one more down. So right now, what we want to see is we want to see this small flag stays here as a flag and then break out. If that happens, we'll confirm more upside, right? We'll confirm the big upside that we're expecting, just like the dollar index, which means we're expecting a bigger one for this one here, this piece. If it stays in consolidation, that will be one more low. So if this stays in consolidation here, it's a sell. But it's a sell only for one more impulse down, because after that one impulse, it could turn. So you're going to trade every trade starting from now as if that is the last trade. You take the profit off once the impulse starts to consolidate. Pang, once the move starts to consolidate. So Pang, it's a buy, and there are many ways to look at this. You can either be coming to make a running flat here, or you're coming to make a running flat with this. Either was buy setup, and it's actually went well. It went very slow, but it went well. So you could have taken break even, take a second trade on it, and that trade should be break even, and take a third trade on it right now. It's still a buy setup. You can put an entry above the top there. Small profits, not really break even. You'll get out there for small profit. You get out there for small profit, put an entry. And if it doesn't go, or if it tags again, you make sure you get a very sharp move or another small profit, right? I like to call them break even because they didn't go to your target, so you probably can say it's break even. I would still watch this if it comes here for this possibility. Although this is very sharp, I would still want to exclude that possibility, which means when they come here, I want to see a correction and continuation. I do think it's going for the bigger one, not this one, right? Aussie. If you were following me last week, you would know we expect the Aussie to come down here. And then from this point, we will see whether they go back up, make a new high, which means we're in this structure right now. So can Aussie go back all the way to the top there like this again? Possible, not necessary, but possible. So far, it's doing good in doing that. This was a good buy setup first. That's a good trade. This was a sell last week. Take that off. That was a sell. We've gone into the buy now. It came down enough to turn. They don't have to come exactly to where the arrow is, but they did well. So if they're turning now, there was a buy setup this morning. I hope my traders took it. If you took it, you close it, you have another buy setup. If this one doesn't go, wait for a bigger correction, then buy. So right now in Aussie, we're looking for buy setups, unless structurally this change. Right now, it's going great for the buy. I don't see any structural change in this yet. New Zealand might start to get the buy as well. We have a similar structure in New Zealand, except that this is going down really, really, really slow. See? That is going down really slow, which means it's starting to look very corrective, especially if you take it from this piece and you include all of this. I wouldn't be surprised if this goes back up like that. We'll probably do it like this, don't worry. Continue like that, right? So this should be an impulse, a correction, an impulse, a correction, another impulse. And then maybe downside. So far this is going good, but could this be similar to these and we drop one more? Similar to these sharp moves here? And you drop one more, then you go? That is also possible, right? So if you're going to get into this buy, you have to know that that is a possibility. And that's where wave analysis comes in. It shows you the possibility you can face this while the trade is going. So this is actually a very good buy setup. It's still valid, which means you would have, if you got into the trade, you probably would have closed at the potential above. You know that, right? So the buy is still valid. Let's see if we get the trade. Swiss. There was a sell. This was the buy last week. You probably closed that. This was a buy for break even. Take the trade off. And we're correcting. Actually, this was a sell. I don't know if anybody saw that this morning. I didn't look at the charts this morning. Now I'm looking at it. If you got into that sell, manage the trade, you probably would still be holding it for a while, or take the break even, or you can wait for the correction, then take the break even. Can this make a flag here, a bigger correction here and go? Let's say they come back like this, do this, and then go. That's possible. That would be a buy setup. That'd be an easy one for us, right? This one will give us the clue. We might even get a sell and then we might get a buy, right? Can we get a buy in this one going up if it becomes a running flat? Yes, you can. If this thing comes here and make a flag here, I think we will consider the buy for a possible running flat like this and then go. Maybe another one here, go again, a more long drawn out running flat and then go. So if this is going to go up, where do we expect it to go? Works like magic, right? Watch this to come down. This was there. This arrow was here since, I don't know when. You can go back and watch my webinars. I think October the 4th it was there, or October the 5th, 6th, somewhere there. I did a webinar. That arrow was there. We were expected to come this much and then go back up. So I believe there's a good chance we're making consolidation here. We're making some kind of a consolidation here and then do another high. Can it actually come down lower? Yes, but we'll have to wait for a very nice correction to sell, which we don't have at the moment. Sorry, put it in the 1 hour. Which we don't have at the moment. What we're getting here is a sharp reversal. This will hardly be the one that takes off because this is a sharp move down, which means you might correct here some more, stay in this range for the entire day, maybe even tomorrow, and then move up. But it's a tradable range as well. You can trade within the range. Right? So let's look for trade setup. Can it drop some more? I don't see the sell setup. It's too early for that. CAD. Okay, CAD is coming down back. We were expecting it to break out of this. Instead, they dropped. Take that off. And now let's look at the big picture in CAD. This is where we are. I think last week I showed you guys this in our trading room. This wasn't in the webinar. You would not see it. We were expecting this and we were expecting this to go back up. But then I re-looked at the structure and I said there's a possibility for them to do one more here, come back here and then go, making a bigger flat. There's a reason for that. My traders would figure out that. So I wouldn't be surprised if this actually comes back here and then go. So we were buying. I think pretty much everybody knew that. You were supposed to be buying when you see something like this. So there were buy setups. And now it's coming down. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to watch this to see if we get sell setups. And there was a sell setup this morning. If you're in the trade, you're probably still in. If you're not in, wait for the next flag, or it's still a valid trade as of now. It's a little more risky, but it's valid. And I don't think this, right? This is a smaller flag. I don't think this is going to just take off. Even if they're going to take off, they will start to do this, and then go. So you could get a break even if you're in the trade. If you're not in trade, go for a smaller flag, or wait for another 1 hour flag and then sell. Because at this point, if they're making a flat, they'll probably go back up. So go for the 1 hour flag, check what the structure looks like in the 15 and make that decision. Yen? Good. So we're at the point where Yen has to tell us two things, either breakout or drop again to the low. So if we think Swiss can drop, if we think CAD can drop, then Yen could probably drop all the way back to here and then go back up, which means Yen could come back here, make a new low, and then still go back up. All of this will still be correction. So question is, what are we doing at the top there? Remember I said there are two possibilities. One of them is that you had this flat, smaller flat, that's the top and we're dropping. In that case, you look for sell setups, which you had. Right? If you took this and not this one, you should have taken that off. If you take that, you took break even because it stayed there. If you try to take this one, you took break even, put an entry order here. If this goes back up from here, we'll either buy here or we'll buy anywhere we get a flag. This would be the expanding flat. Right? It still has that possibility until we literally watch this start dropping more. But for now, that's a sell setup. So I'll take this off. And I'll take this off. So we're going to assume now that we are going down. And if you got tagged in this and it drops like this, perfect. If it doesn't, which means if it tags you, comes back here, tag you, and start to do this again, you know what to do. Get rid of the trade, either in the next entry and wait for a turn. Once it goes enough that we think it's not going to turn, then great. We're going to trade it to this low and then back to the top. The good thing is when once it breaks this low, you start to look for buy setups. So let's see which one it gives us today. Big picture, this is upside. There's no question about that, right? The big picture of this is upside. Eventually this, even if it comes back here, would totally do this. Okay, I see. I removed the line because we were discussing this last week in the trading room, and I removed the line, so I'll put the line back where we were expecting it to go. We're expecting it to go above this. By the way, if you're new to wave analysis, you might really want to check this out. Right? The patterns are the same. You have this, and you can get this. Right? You're just getting a correction in here. Basically, once it breaks that top, guess what happened? We're going to drop again, right? So go back to the 4 hour. This is where we would expect it to go when it starts to go from here. Either from here, they're going to go there, or it's going to come back here and then probably go. As of now, based on the information we have, those are the two forecasts I'll make. Can this forecast change at any point in time? Of course, if we have structural change, yes, this would change. So let me give an example of how it can change, because there are traders, who watch this and said, hey, you're just lucky. You said this thing is going to come here, but instead it just come here and it go down back. Like you were wrong about it. And I'm like, dude, do you really know what you're saying? Like literally all we're saying is that this thing has to break out to the upside. This is our target. It doesn't mean it will get to the target. If they come here and they come back low again, this will become a bigger correction and we'll go back up there. That's all. But that is difficult to understand if you don't know wave analysis very well. Right? So be careful. We're expecting that. We always put it to where we think our target is going to go. And then we decide what it's doing from there. So for your trade setup, those forecasts are irrelevant. You're not trading for those. You're trading for this trade today, which is you're in a sell setup. And if that sell doesn't go, you'll have to manage your way out of it. We know how to do that. We have rules on how to do that, right? So this is a sell setup. We'll see how that goes. Euros. I'm going slow because I'm giving you a lot of information that, maybe I shouldn't, but still good for you guys. You learn something. This is making a flag here. I think this is an easy sell setup. Is this the one that's going to break out and drop to make a new low, or is it just going to come here and do this and then go back up? We'll see, but it's downside for now. Big picture is downside as well, but this is a little sharp, so it could be that they might not drop totally, right? But let's see, take the trade is a very good setup for a sell. Worst case is you will be able to manage your way out for break even. Euro New Zealand, a better sell setup because this pattern is much more, much more defined as a flat. So this means if you get a sell at least back to this level, and then they either break out or they go back up one more. Can this continue for a while? Yes, but this is a good sell because if it breaks out, you will rather be in the trade, right? You might get another consolidation under the structure for it, but so go with it. EuroCAD. This one has been doing magic for us, literally doing magic, right? With the sell and with the buy, and then with the sell again. And then if you close that sell on Friday, which you should have done, it's Friday, don't keep it. We have another potential sell here. And then either this drops through the bottom or go right back up like that, right? Either way, it's about to break out one side very big. So this trade was from here, actually. You remember we closed it and put it here Friday in the room. And now I closed it actually. I'll tell you where I closed it way before this because I was leaving. I told you guys I was in the trading room with you when that happened. And I said, okay, when I close mine, I put it here. And then I came back and closed it in this piece. That is here. I came back and I closed it here. About 2 hours after I came back, it was there. I closed it there. I didn't stay for this, right? So you could have probably closed it and re-enter. I didn't put any re-entry. I did not put any re-entry. Or you could have put it break even and manage it. I didn't do that either. I closed the trade and walk away. So now we're looking for a buy setup, sell setup again. This time we'll see if this totally breaks up. So the sell setup is here. We might get a better entry than that on the 15, depending on what this does, especially if this goes back up like this. And if they go back up like that, we might get a better entry. Can this stop here and totally go up? I don't think so, right? The structure is more downside than upside. Could this be a big flat for upside? Let's say this 1, 2, 3, and this is your impulse, and then this one is your impulse with a correction and takeoff. I think it's rare. I think it's very unlikely, right? So we're expecting this, and not only am I expecting this, I'm expecting with a very high probability they're going to break through the low because we have a complete pattern, right? We have an absolute complete pattern. So breaking through that low is very easy to do. Go for the trade. The aggressive traders, you want to go for the buy, you got to be careful with it, right? I know some of you are very aggressive traders might want to say, okay, let's get this piece first to that top, and then we're going to look for the sell from there. Possible, just be careful. What if it doesn't go to that top? It's a running flat in the middle, right? What if it just breaks this top here? What if it just breaks this top here? You just watch it do this and do that. Right? So let's go for the sell. That's the safest one. Euro Swiss. Okay, if you sold it, it broke. It didn't go anywhere, and it's looking like they're actually going to start to turn at some point. It's starting to look like this thing is planning on turning without breaking the low, because if you go on the daily, no divergence in this, but if you look in the last piece, which is this one, we have a lot of divergence. Okay? We have a lot of divergence here. Breaking this low will create a lot of divergence. Go to the 1 hour. You have a lot of divergence here. You can see it. Internally also, you have divergence. That is on this one. So if you take this to be the flat, it's over. If this comes here and come back down, this would be the flat. We would check with this and this for divergence. So we don't have a buy setup as yet, because as you can see, it could still be within the correction, which means this could still come back here and drop, and that would be okay. Right? If that happened, we'll put a sell here and decide if we want this piece. The risk or reward is not good. But if this actually goes up here and make us a correction here, we're buying. We're gonna definitely go for that buy. Euro Yen. It keeps dropping, right? This didn't go up. it dropped a little more. That would have been a break-even trade if you took it. You'll have to take it under the low. It's a sharp move up. This was a sharp move up. They pull back, they go, they pull back. It's going up again. So the question is, do we still want to go with the buy? I still like the buy. This one is very corrective though. This piece here is very corrective. I think you can see that. I did visually very corrective. So I'm not sure that this is not the flat. Let's go with this being the flat, right? 1, 2, 3. And this is dropping. In that case, what you can do is put a sell here. If it drops through the bottom here, it'll probably go very deep. Right? This will go very deep. We'll retest the low without breaking the top. And we didn't break the top. We didn't break this top. That is this one here. That's a big daily top, right? We haven't broken the tops yet. So can we retest the lows without breaking that top? I think it's possible. Could we still be in a correction here? Something like this, this, and then go. That is also possible. We had one. If you take this out and you look at it from that point of view, let's put it like this. That trend line is incorrect for now because we haven't broken the lows, but we're making an assumption that could it possibly do this, come back here, and then go back up. I think we had one like that here. See this? We had another one like that, I think somewhere here across here. See this one here? Let me bring it correctly. See this here? This one. Can we get the same thing here? I think it's possible. So in that case, what we're going to do is take that sell off. That was a sell there, take it off. We were looking for a buy there, take that off, and it came down. So what we can do is say, okay, if this is going to drop more, let it drop to this level, and then we look for that trade up. So let's go back to the 1 hour. It's a sell setup. You can go for it. You know where it's coming. If it's going, it's coming to retest this low, but it's coming really slow. So you have to be careful, right? Europound, perfect sell setup. If you took that trade, you close it, you got in trade, you can get another sell setup here. This is a good one because we're consolidating right at the low. Just be careful because this would either come here or it's going to come here, make a flat and go back up there. This will be a flat pattern. So there's a small drop here and you have to move to break even because it's going to go back up or it's going to drop through the bottom. Either is possible in this structure, right? In this structure, we're either coming back to this level or we're going to go back, make a new high and then come back to this level. Both of them possible. We don't know which one is going to be, right? So you can go for the sell. I like the sell. It's a good sell setup. Potential for downside is there. But because of where the sell is, you have to manage. The first one was a good one. Probably close it, re-enter, close this one, look for another one. Let's see how far that goes. Pause. Okay, we're probably going to consolidate much more here because this is becoming a flat. We had a correction. This is sharp. This one is a flat one. We discussed this in the trading room, right? That this is going to come here and then probably do this, and this would be the B part of it, which means we're going to have a much more complex pattern correction in here. This is a big correction, but it's becoming very complex. See, this here is a big correction. I wouldn't be surprised if it actually does this, go back up, come back here, right? Go back up and then drop. That possibility exists. I think if you can read it with me, you see what I'm saying, right? That's the possibility. So go into 1 hour. If you want to sell, you have to be really, really careful, but it's worth taking. It's going to drop 20 pips maybe. Pound New Zealand or wait for the buy. That was a pound was right. Yes. Pound New Zealand, still sideways and nothing here, absolutely nothing. Because this would just probably come here, maybe go back up. Depending on how we look at this, it could either come back here and go, or this is all the correction. We just drop to the bottom after that. That is going sideways. No sell setup, no buy setup, and that is it. Not as yet. Pancat? Okay, We made a new low. And now they're consolidating in here. Not a good idea because then we are not sure where we're going to put this, right? We're not sure where this is going to go. Up, back. Is it going to be a running flat here like this? Come here and then go back up. That'd be perfect. We'll figure that out. If this is just dropping, you probably don't have a sell setup. Right? Because you can look at the structure and say, well, that's not a good sell setup, but a buy might be a better idea. Pound Swiss? Yep, the buy is a better idea here. This will probably give you a buy back to the top here. And then we can look at all of this as a possibility for one more down. Right? This didn't break out. We thought this would break out. It didn't. That trade should have been off a long while ago. And now we're doing this where we were in the big picture. Going down one more. So we want this one to come up to a little buy here, make that flat, and then drop one more, right? So go back to the 1 hour. Yes, you're getting a buy setup. Back to retest this stop. As a trade, and then the chances are we're coming down one more. Pang Yen. Okay. It's kind of going up, pull the buy. If you're in the buy, take it off. Look for another buy setup. It looks more downside right now because of this. Because of the flatness of this piece. Take that off. You can still keep a sell setup here. If they drop, that's a good one. But because we're getting a lot of divergence, that might not drop. It might go deeper to the upside. Can it totally go make a new high? I think it's possible, but it's going very, very slow sideways. So that's more downside than upside, right? When you have structurally like this, you want to see this come here. You want to see it go back up and then drop. This should be your flat. Could it be a bigger one like this? Also possible. And look for a sell setup earlier, right? Look for a sell from here or look for a sell from there. Pang Yen, sorry, Aussie Yen. Pull the sell. It was a sell setup until it came back to the top. So we'll wait and see what pattern this is making. Let's see in the bigger picture what is it. It's coming back down, and I think we could retest these lows. Then we're heading back for this. Take this off. That was the buy. Yep, there's a good chance we're coming back for this one here. So let's go back to the 1 hour. This would be off because literally this is making a bigger flat. The downside, right? It's literally making a bigger flat. So I expect this to go up some more. Maybe come back here, go back there and then drop, or just drop to the bottom. So when it breaks the top, if we get a sell setup, we can go with that, right? Let's go. I'm not going to go through all of these because there are too many of them. And I don't think a lot of traders trade them. So I'm going to skip all of this for time's sake. We have a lot of them to go through. I'm going to do some of these and just to make sure that the time is short. If you guys want all those analysis in YouTube, you can get them. You can literally get them for free. Now, I mentioned this once, and one guy sent me a message, and then I explained how you get them for free. He said, but they're not free. They're free. So here's a catch in that. You have to be an installment payer for the course, which means if you decided you're going to join my course, but you don't have the money to pay right now, you can pay an installment, which means you can pay every month, but that money is not a subscription to anything. It's a saving to your course. But while you're paying the installment, you get all the webinars for free. They're not for sale. You get them for free, right? You get all my daily webinars for free while you're saving money for the course. That's it. Now, have we had people who've done that before? Oh, yeah. We have a lot of traders who have completed that and they're in the course. Some people paid it in 5 installments. Some people paid it in 10 installments. Some paid it in one guy, I think he made 1 installment, the first installment, and then he just paid it off the next. In the next installment, he just paid out the full course. It's up to you how you want to do it. There's a minimum payment you need to make because we're not going to stretch this into 10 years, right? There's a minimum payment you have to say, well, you were willing to take the course. You're going to start paying the installment, and then I will give you the webinars for free, which means every day you're going to get them, and you'll get them with more details, like we do them in our trading room. So let's go. Oil. Yeah, oil is going very slow, which means you're probably going to be in a big consolidation right across here, and then one more up, right? Once you start consolidating so much here, this looks like a consolidation forming here. So I'd be careful of the sell. We were trying to sell it, but then it didn't go very well, which means you got a few break-even trades. Probably might even get a few more break-even trades if you try to sell this. I would be looking for a buy setup here for back like that. And then we make a bigger flat here, and then we come back like this, and then probably go up. All right, that's a possibility. Big picture is downside, even if it makes a new high. Let's keep our eyes on this one. Right now, it's still a sell setup until we break out of this channel. There's a channel forming there. And until you break out of that channel, you're going with sell setup. Once it breaks the channel, we'll start to look for the buy. US oil, same thing. Same structure. As a matter of fact, US oil is more of a sell. This could possibly be a running flat here. Not necessarily a channel as yet, but a running flat for downside. So it's more of a sell setup. Natural gas, it didn't go, they make a new low. So we're actually going to be looking at this as a possible running flat, very small running flat. You broke the low of that already. Once you break the low, it can go right back up. Once this breaks the low, if this is a running flat, we are coming back to the top here. This is the sharpest among them. See, this had a flat in it also. So if you come here, you're coming back here, you're coming down and then going back up. So we're just going sideways. This sell is possible, but dangerous. Wait for the buy. Yesterday, it didn't break down. It's consolidating deeper, but it still looks downside, which means I still see this is a possibility to drop here and then probably go back up. And then this bigger picture, we're the trend line. See, if that had broken the trend line, you go with the trade. So if they break through this trend line, it's more downside. I think we go for the sell. Try to get it much earlier, right? So by the time it gets to this low, you can get it to break even. S&P 500, we're at the top. So two things are going to happen now. We saw this. This was a buy. Last week, Friday, we called that buy. If this is going to drop back here or it's going to go up. If it makes a flag, you buy. If it drops here, make a flag, you sell. Both are possible. NASDAQ, this one also was a buy. We got this because we had these patterns here for buy. Now it could do two things. It could drop again, or it could make another flag and go up. Right? So let's see which one we get. You could get a buy setup, you could get a sell setup. You don't have either. You're getting more of a buy setup. This is more of a buy setup at the moment. PayPal, we broke the low now. So if you're following me, remember what we said, this would come and break the low. So once it breaks the low, you're going to look for two things. Any consolidation here, you sell. Last trade to the downside, which means you will want to take profit. The chances are they can turn and go back up. This looks more like a correction for upside. We don't have buy setups as yet. Amazon, it's just going sideways. Right now, it's looked like they're pushing. This is going to make a small flag and push one more up, probably back to this top. But it's not a buy setup as yet. I mean, it's not a long-term buy setup because this whole thing is just going like this sideways. So we'll relook at the whole structure eventually. Once it's finished, once it's going. But for the short-term trade, I don't see any trade set up for a buy. I wouldn't buy it here, even if it goes. Can it drop back to this level? Possible, go with a sell there. That's a better option because the downside is higher probability. Next, buy setup, absolutely, but it's very slow. This is a buy setup. This is a perfect buy setup actually, but it's really slow. It might not go very far. AU 200, buy setup. This would probably take you back to break these stops. So probably somewhere there, and then we'd look for downside. Once you get to that level in the big picture, it probably could be downside. You see this whole big structure? We already figured this could come here, but if it comes here, this chance or all of this here becomes correction for one more down. So there's a buy setup short term today, and then after that, we'll see what happens. Nifty, sell setup at this moment right now. If it stays here in consolidation, you can go for one more, but from this point, I think they come back here. All right, so if it stays here, you can put an entry for a buy. But if it starts to come in, we'd have to wait for it to come down some more, make a flag, and then go for the sell. And the chances are we can break out of this downwards. Stay away from this, Reliance. Look for buy setups, take this off. Wait for flags and buy, short-term trades. Tesla. Well, looks like we might finally get that sharp wave down, which is this one. All you want for that now is you want a little flag here, a little consolidation here, and then drop like this and then back up, because we would look at this as a running flat. All right, that's what we do. So, by the way, did I mention the sharp waves at the start of my webinar? That the one in the back there, we eventually get them. So we can even put it like this. You get a consolidation here. It could drop to the bottom. I think there's a small flag there, or it might get into a bigger correction and then look for a sell setup. And copper, going sideways, look for sell setups. Bitcoin, let's go. Well, Bitcoin is consolidating, but it's consolidating with the possibility of a running flat, which means if we take this to be the B wave, and this is a sharp wave down, I think if this goes lower, it will probably just do this and go back up one more. There's a potential that that is it. Could this be all the correction? This is the top and we're totally dropping? Possible. A little unlikely, but possible. Could this be the one that goes up and this is all you get for a running flat? Also possible, rare but possible, right? Most likely you want it to come a little more like this. So right now, on the bigger picture, it's a sell setup, which means this here looks like a sell setup if this starts to drop. So under here, you can go for this trade. And if you're lucky, they break through the low. If you're not so lucky, they go right back up. Can this go up more from this point? It can, but I'm not sure I want to buy this small flag here. Right? You can consider if you want to buy that, if it takes off, make a new high, then we will go with this is the running flat, because it's a sharp move, but not sharp enough. A little more would have been perfect. So if this drop one more here, then go back, that would make a lot of sense. So short term is buy. You still have to be careful when you're in this range to buy. That's just my thought process. I would not invest my money in Bitcoin at this price. Now, traders are saying, I think I heard this in a few of my comments, this guy has no idea what Bitcoin, and you're probably right. I have no idea what Bitcoin is doing. I have no idea what it's doing. I don't even think it's something of any big value as most people believe strongly. And I understand your belief. It's okay, it's normal to believe that because you're not new in believing things that are not real. I mean, literally when the tulip bubble exists, if you go back and you read the articles about that time, people truly believed that that thing had value. People sold their house to buy tulips bulb, to buy the tulip bulbs, because they believe. You would not sell your house to buy a few bulbs if you didn't believe that it had value to it. I mean, we look back now and said, well, you got to be crazy to do that, right? We would say, those are crazy ass people if they're going to do things like that, right? But we don't look at ourselves and say, hey, why would you sell your money for 65,000 for Bitcoin? Like, you want to tell me this is a tulip bubble? Right? And people are going to go crazy. They will say it's different. They will tell you it's not the same. Of course, it's not going to be the same thing as a tulip. You can't repeat the tulip bubble twice. You repeat twice, but in a different form. Now, the tulip bubble made people money. The people who managed to sell off earlier made money. They made tons. I guess there were people who made millions on it. But there were millions of people who end up without their pants. Somebody has got to lose in this case, because this is something that is being sold and bought directly. It has no other value besides sellers and buyers' value. So the only reason this price goes up is because there are more buyers than sellers at the moment. Right? That's the only thing that pushes this up. The minute they become more sellers than buyers, it drops. And we've seen that happen a few times. Now, the game is it's like you're paying, what do you call a game when you're playing with those chairs, and who's got the last person to sit would not get a chair? Well, in this case, not just the last person, it's a whole lot of last persons who are going to be sitting with no chairs, trying to sit with no chairs. I don't know what that game is. I used to play it when I was a kid, but I can't remember the name of the game, basically. So it's like a game like that. We're all going to sell and buy and make money until, boom, the musical chairs. Thank you, Brian. Yes. So think of it as a musical chair game. We're all selling and buying, making money, which is great, right? Losing and making money. And then, boom, it bursts. And then the last person to look for a chair is going to be the one without the pants, right? Some people will find chairs, the people who sell early. And that's my thing, is that if we work with wave analysis and you're here, that's a bad sell. That's a bad buy, sorry. That's a good sell. So can it go a little more? Of course, it's a bad buy. Can it go a little more? It's a bad buy. Wait for this, then buy. This is a good buy. Any one of these would be a good sell. I think you know what I'm talking about if you understand wave analysis, right? So come back to the 1 hour. And if you get a sell set up, make sure you take it. If you get a buy set up, think very hard before you make your buys. It's not worth it. That's my thought process. Now, the Bitcoin fans, please don't come and put your crazy comments. They'll just be deleted. Don't waste your time. It's not worth it. I give you my views. You have your views. You can post your views on YouTube wherever you want to post them, and people will follow that. These are my views, and I truly believe these. And I try to ask people to convince me. No one has convinced me otherwise, except somebody said one of the small countries in, I would say, I don't know, in South America or somewhere there is using Bitcoin as their official currency, which is a crazy thing, because if you want to bankrupt them, that's the easiest way to do it, right? Flood them with Bitcoin. Their economy is going to go into drain. I think that's a risky, crazy thing to do. Unless you're controlling the Bitcoin, you can do that. If you're not controlling it, you're putting your whole economy at risk. Your entire economy at risk. I think that's very crazy. I don't know why they're doing it. I don't know who's advising them. But if the bubble crash, just imagine that, I don't know, France was putting tulip as their official currency. Yep, tulip in the tulip bubble days, right? Tulip is our official currency. You can actually use tulip in the economy. Like, really? It doesn't make sense. But hey, who am I to tell them what to do? We'll see. Time will prove it. I always think time proves things. We'll see. ETH also sideways, looks a little more up. It dropped from there, but it didn't drop the way we expected. It's going sideways mostly. So we can look at this sideways two ways. Either this is some kind of a contraction to go up one more within this range. This one is worth buying back to the top of the range. You understand that, you know when to get out. Or they stay within this consolidation here. They stay within this consolidation here and drop. In this case, you can get out for break even. Now, again, look at where we are in the daily. And based on wave analysis, is it the good buy at that point? Unless you get this pullback, that buy doesn't make a lot of sense right now. If you were buying here short-term, they were short-term buys. We clearly said you can buy here short-term, you can buy here short-term. This is not a clear one for short-term buys. You can see, right, that they actually have more consolidation here than these had. Right, these were clear. This one is not so clear. This is like this. Come back here probably. I don't know, maybe this is all you have. And then you drop totally. So I'll be careful of this buy. XRP. Okay, this is what we have here. And this looks like a short-term sell. Right, this here looks like a short-term sell that should come here, go back up there. If that happens, we get a flat here. And then this drops, if that happens. If it's going to make a running flat, then this would probably go higher. Pull back like this, give you a running flat here. Break the top, come back here, then go. Those are the possibilities. How are you going to trade it? This is where you are in the daily. This one never made a new high. I never made a new high, but you're consolidating quite a lot here in this one. See that? And we know you've got a small consolidation here. You've got a small consolidation here. We know that when you see that, the chances are this is going to come back and retest this low. We know that from past experience based on patterns like these, that the sell opportunity is good. And when you get back to this level, breaking the lows, then the buy comes in to retest this top or break this top. Either. And then probably even come back here and then go. If this takes off, okay, no problem. You'll have a big running flat. Can we look at this as a bigger correction of its own? I don't think so. Because then you wouldn't get a big flat here. Right? We understand how wave analysis works, right? So this seems to be the B part of that entire structure. Let's see how it goes. ADA, if you look at this, it looks like one big correction right now. Just pull this line here. And pull a line at the top here. Put it on your 4 hour. we're looking at this. This does not look as sharp as this one, so I would take that off. I'll probably look at it like this. Even this is not as sharp as this, but it's equal in size. So let's assume that that is what it's doing. Then we're making this one down. You see this one had a correction in here? Could it be we're making this correction here like that and then drop? I'd go with that. Then they will have to go back up and then drop. We'll get something like this. That is how I see the wave pattern developing. Can it change from that? We'll see if it changes from that, but that seems very good to me. So I wouldn't be surprised if this actually drops lower. We wanted to go back up to the top there, make a flat here, and then drop. That's the setup. This one, probably gonna go up higher because these two waves are pretty sharp, so I wouldn't be surprised if this goes make a new high. I don't see the sell setup in this yet. Dash. Yep, you're going sideways. And the last time they did this, it broke the top and they make a flat there. So can we repeat this and go break the top, come back here and then go make a flat like this? Possible. Should we buy into this? Nope, look for a sell setup, even if it breaks the top. This one also is coming down very slow. We're not breaking out. We don't have a sell setup. You can actually put a sell under the low, but the chances are they can crawl it back like this. You can crawl it back to the top. So if you're going to buy it, you have to wait for flags. Make sure you have very good flags and then put it in shorter for the buy. This one is consolidating at the top here. We just have to see. I think it's going to correct more. I believe this is starting to show signs that this is going to correct more. Probably see this come back here. All right, I'm on the 4 hours. So let's see in the 1 hour if we have any flag for a sell. Yeah, you're getting a flag here for a sell. I wouldn't be surprised if this drops. All right, because we would assume that this here is the running flat. And that this one is going to drop like this, then probably go back up. So there's a sell setup here. LTC. This one did break, but it didn't go far. It actually just dropped here and they're going back up. So if you're climbing so slow, back up. And if you're climbing so slow, chances are you're just making a bigger correction. So if they come back here and go there, it's still, that would be a bigger correction for downside. Can it continue to go all the way back to the top here? Like this, go back there? Yeah, possible. If you're making a running flat, that's possible. TRX. Okay, so this one made a new high. Let's see where we are. This is a sharp move. We don't have anything to go with that. So if you take this out, we had a very sharp drop here. Like when we had this sharp drop, we got this one, right? We don't have anything to go with this. So at some point, I'll be looking for a running flat. Let's see the bigger picture. And we don't have anything to go with this one as well. So at some point, I think this will have to either come back, go back up, and then come back, something like this. Right, this is going more as a running flat. Eventually, they come back here, give you a bigger flat, go back up, then come down for this one. See? So we're in the B structure of this, and it's just getting higher. That's a B wave. You can literally see it. So you're probably doing this. See this? And this B part is going a little high. So we got this move up. We still need to complete this flat. I still think this flat needs to complete and then go back up like this before you come down. So there's a chance that even if you break that up, you might pull back first before you go because the flat is incomplete. Can it be a long drawn out running flat? Well, then look for buy setups and take one trade at a time. I think that's it. So we've concluded. I tried to make this webinar short, so we don't make it too long for traders. By the way, thank you for watching. If you made it to the end, share it with somebody. I would see all of you next week. Maybe this week I'll give one more update during the week. So if you're watching it on YouTube, stay on for the possible update during the week. One more update during the week, right? Thank you very much. Take care. Bye.